Follow along with me. So one day I had a meeting. I was working with someone up in Canada, in Toronto, and I was broke. I mean broke. Okay? And I'm driving up to Canada to do this meeting, and I go to the ATM, and I put my card in, and it kept my card. Okay? So I'm an executive. I'm newer in the business. And I'm halfway to I'm like a few hours into my trip. I'm basically halfway to Toronto. And I have no money. And I'm at the gas station. And I'm sitting there freaking out. Because I have enough gas to go back home. But I have no money for a hotel. None of this stuff. And I call my mentor. And I say, hey, let me tell you what happened. And he starts laughing. Now I'm at the gas station freaking out. And he starts laughing. And I'm thinking, what? Like, what's so funny? And he's like, congratulations. And I said, on what? What? I'm sitting here at the gas station with no money. And he said, now you have a choice. I said, okay, what's that? He said, you'll either turn around and go home or you'll figure it out. That was it. I got off the phone and I was sitting there thinking for a moment. I knew I had enough money to get home. Back then gas was way cheaper, you know what I mean? I knew I had enough gas, I should say, to get home. But I'm sitting there and I'm almost panicked with the thought of continuous drive. So here I'm in the car for a couple of minutes thinking, how do I get money to get to Canada? So I go on a JamesAdlam fundraising campaign. Western Union, all of you remember that. And I start calling buddies of mine, hey, here's the situation, I need your help, blah, 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 blah. I got to get to Canada, I need money. I call my buddy Devon, call my buddy Donald, I'm just calling people, and people start Western Unioning me money, and I go and do this event in Canada. And that day I had a breakthrough. Because the fearful side of being out in the wind and feeling naked in the wind financially can overwhelm you. And my instinct would have definitely been to just go home and come up with some lame excuse for why it didn't happen. But because I made that choice to keep moving forward, something miraculous happened. Other people began to contribute to my cause. I realized at that moment I had more resources than I realized I had. When I found the closest Western Union at the supermarket that I went to, and I picked up the transactions, it was different. The lady behind the counter said to me, oh, that's interesting. You have multiples, because multiple people sent me money. That wasn't typical for her. She's like, I haven't seen that before. And I just sat there and I thought, I'm blessed. And I don't know why it just really, that was the word that came to me. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I am blessed. And I go to Canada. I'm all pumped up now because I can get my trip going. I get to Canada for this really big event. I mean, it's going to be a big event. And what I didn't know was that the people that were inviting for this really big event were lying to me the whole time about the people that they had coming. So I get up to Canada. after borrowing money from multiple people, to go to a room and one guest showed. One. Okay? One. Uno. Okay, uno. All right? One guest showed. Everybody with me? So I'm sitting in this living room and I'm looking at this confirmation list. And I guess I should have known something was up because I'm confirming all these people and there's no reply back. But, I'm thinking, okay, people are busy and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, I'm thinking that. But the reality was they sent me names of people, but these people weren't confirmed to attend. They were just sending me names because they were embarrassed over the fact that they didn't really put in the effort. One girl was fighting with her boyfriend. One person, their mom got sick. All this stuff. So they didn't tell me not to come. They had me drive almost 9.5, almost 10 hours to Canada for one person. And that person got invited like 3 hours before the meeting. So I'm sitting in there and I'm saying, what is the lesson I'm supposed to learn here? And the lesson I was supposed to learn was that I was blessed and to keep my word. And that's what this training is about today. It's about keeping your promises. It's about keeping your promises. We tell people, when you're a leader, you make promises to people about what will happen and what you will do. You'll say that if when you join me, blank will happen. We're going to do blank together. We're going to do blank, 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 blank. That's what happens. But most people are poor promise keepers. They do just enough, but when it gets complicated, they disappear from their promises. When it gets hard, they disappear from their promises. You see, you told John, I want to do this. We're going to do this. John's ready to do this. But something shinier comes along, and the shinier thing has you break your promise. And that's most people in leadership positions. They have no relationship with their word. Their word is flexible. They don't stand on principles, like I'm going to do whatever it takes. And then they don't understand why no one will follow them. It's hard to follow the wind. It really is. Try catching the wind. Most people's promises are like a gust of wind. It blows for a moment, then it disappears. And then where does it reappear? Who knows? I was sharing with someone the other day how the more I listen to quotes from the Bible, the more powerful I think it is that this book, thousands of years old, there are things still in it that are so relevant today. And I realize it's because that book is based on principles that can't be argued. They just can't be argued. And the principles stand the test of time. I was talking to someone, I did a meeting with someone, and they said, hey, Sian, oh yeah, I heard about this business. I was in, I don't know, maybe like 15 years ago or something like that. And he said, wow, you've been doing this for 27 years? I was like, yeah, 27 years. And they said, wow. And I was just listening because I know the usual response. I know what the response is. It's like shock that I've been doing something for 27 years. And the reason why people are shocked that I've been doing this for 27 years is because they haven't done anything and committed to it wholeheartedly for 27 years in most cases. I mean, they tried stuff out, but they never committed. I didn't start this business with an off-ramp in mind. I mean, I didn't start this business with an off-ramp in mind. So in my mind, why wouldn't I be here 27 years later? There's no off-ramp. Most people do things they hate for 40 years with an off-ramp mentality. They do it for 40 years. They hate it. And they're shocked at me that I'm doing something for 27 years that I love. perspective, right? And the reason why I'm still here is because every time a new person joins me, there's a new promise that was made that I'm going to help you. Well, what a shame would be if I helped you just until it was inconvenient for me, or I helped you just until I became successful. There's two times where you get to learn about people: when they need and when they make. When you need money, I learn about you. When you make money, I learn about you. When you need money, I learn how serious are you. When you make money, I learn how committed are you. You see, because everyone can say the right things when they need money. But I discover if you really meant what you said when you make money. Because if you are really there to help other people, then even if you're making money, you won't stop. But if it was never really about other people, and if it was just all about your success, then in that particular case, no problem. You've made yours, you're good. And that's the difference between monuments and movements. Monuments are when you achieve and you want accolades for yourself. Movements are when you are focused in on helping other people to achieve. Monument leaders, it's all about me. It's all about my shine. How much can I get? I'm going to do this for me. Me, me. Movement leaders, they're taking calls late. They're doing work early. They're doing whatever it takes to help move the organization forward. They don't need special accolades. They don't need special recognition. They just want to see people win. And you can tell the difference very quickly. You'll figure out very quickly when you're working with a monument leader or a movement leader. You'll see very quickly. And movement leaders, they have things that go way beyond them. And monument leaders, it was never about anybody else. It was all about them. What kind of a leader are you choosing to be? What kind of a leader are you helping other people to become? You know, there's some basic things that you need to understand, and one of them is that every single day you have a choice. Leaders help people do things that they don't even know they can do. So if you wait for people to, call you and then you'll help them, you're a monument leader. You're not willing to be humble, and humility is powerful. It's way more powerful than arrogance. I believe in posture, but I don't believe in arrogance. I believe in confidence, but I don't believe in arrogance. Real leadership is love and correction. It's not one or the other. You can't just love your people only. You have to know when it's time to correct them. Being a parent is love and correction. Being a leader is love and correction. It's important you understand this. People follow people who are clear about where they're going. And if you have to talk yourself into where you're going, it's not very encouraging for me to follow you. You don't have to get it right all the time, but you have to want to get it right. Are you willing to do what's necessary for other people, or are you only willing to do for other people until it inconveniences you? The very definition of leadership is influence, and to gain influence requires inconvenience at times. At some point in time, you have to make your life bigger than yourself. The mission and the movement has to be bigger than you. If it's not bigger than you, you are too small. You're too small. It has to be bigger than you. Can I count on you when it's hard? Or can I only count on you when it's convenient? Because I do not need convenient leaders around me. And I do not need lazy leaders around me. I need people that I can count on. I don't need you to keep your promise for me to keep my promise. I kept my promise. I kept my promise. And from that moment, amazing things happened in my life. Not much happened in theirs, but amazing things happens in mine. Because the reward will always go to the promise keeper.